Now, while America's future strategy for Afghanistan will commit more troops, it's also now to include a pull-out date beginning in 2011. Barack Obama is expected to make an official announcement in a televised address at the U.S. Military Academy in a few hours. For more, we can now cross live to our Priya Sridhar in our Washington studio there. Hello to you, Priya. Now, more and more details of the plan are leaking through. Now, what are Americans saying on this crucial day? Will the public buy the new strategy?
Well, I think there are a lot of questions that still need to be answered, like how President Obama plans to pay for all of this and what exactly his exit strategy is going to be. Well, joining me to help break this down is Adam Kokesh, congressional candidate and Iraq War veteran. Adam, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.
So first of all, I want to ask you, what was your reaction to the news that President Obama is going to reportedly send about 30,000 more troops over to Afghanistan?
Well, I got to be honest, it wasn't really much of a reaction. It was a pretty predictable play on his part. Really what we expect. You know, we voted for change in 2008, but we didn't change anything that you have to do to be president. And he is still a slave to the military-industrial complex. What
were you hoping for? What would you hope that he was going to announce today?
Well, I would hope for a constitutional answer, you know, like a declaration of war against a discrete enemy, if there is one that they really legitimately can go after in Afghanistan. And then you get the politics out of the way and you let the military do their job and come home. But really what I want to see is a drastic reduction in the scale of our presence, not just in Afghanistan, but throughout the world, because right now the American people are paying for our presence in Iraq and Afghanistan, and we're hurting. It doesn't matter how you can't account for it. You can't take this kind of manpower and materiel out of the productive U.S. economy and not expect the American people to suffer. Also, the burden on America's veterans now, or on the service members, on the military, and the inability to take care of veterans is very disturbing as well.
And do you ever think it was a realistic option for President Obama to pull out all the troops, you know, starting now?
Absolutely. Not necessarily every last one, but to do so in a way that maintains the integrity of the military, perhaps does salacious payments as we did in Iraq and civil affairs with my unit after the siege of Fallujah, and leaves a force in place to address the very real problems of terrorism on an appropriate scale. But in terms of trying to do this large-scale, nation-building, counterinsurgency operation, yes, in that sense, I would like to see all the troops that are part of that leave the country immediately, and I think that's a reasonable option at this point.
And are you happy that he said he was going to outline an exit strategy that should take place from now until 2011, within the next 2 years?
Am I happy that we're getting this new version or spin or piece of propaganda? No, I can't say I'm happy about that. I'm glad that, in a sense, Obama is forced now to listen to his base, which is very anti-war, and say we're going to have an exit strategy, is forced by the realities of the U.S. economy to at least give some acknowledgement to that. But I don't give his message about a withdrawal strategy any kind of credence, because we've heard this kind of propaganda before. You know, we heard it from the Bush administration, we heard it from him in Iraq, and of course he's gone back on all of his plans on withdrawal from Iraq and extended the timeline in places where he's withdrawing troops, is replacing them with more contractors. So I'm not really excited about any kind of announcements of plans, only changes in the current reality, and the only change we're getting now is 30+ thousand more troops.
And I mean, how do you think the general public is going to react to this? From talking to your friends or people today, do you think, I mean, it seemed like there's growing disapproval for this war, growing disapproval with how President Obama has been handling this decision. Do you think people are going to be happy, and do you think there was any decision he could make today that would make a majority of people happy? I mean, how do you think people are reacting to this news?
Well, all of the people that are profiting off this war are going to be very happy that he's going to be, you know, adding to the price tag, you know, billions and billions and billions of dollars that's going to a lot of corrupt people. But the American people, in general, I think there are some that are going to be that are going to be relieved that he's addressing the exit strategy finally. But by and large, I think the majority of the American people are really starting to see through this. They're seeing through Obama's words. They're seeing through this propaganda and realizing that our government didn't fundamentally change with the election of Barack Obama and still does not have the best interests of the American people at heart.
Well, Adam, I want to thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back here in another hour for another live update on President Obama's decision. But for now, it's back to you guys in Moscow.
Well, thank you very much. That was Ortiz Priya-Sridhar talking to Iraq war veteran and congressional candidate Adam Kokesh about Obama's new strategy for the 8-year war in Afghanistan.